Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pencils and Lipstick. I'm Kat Caldwell, and this is episode 176 of the podcast. And as you can still hear in my voice, it's still April. So I am slowly getting over my allergies, I guess. We are in DC. It is April 6th, and I have 10 more days of cherry blossoms. So I apologize if I sound a bit nasally, yes, or stuffy. It's just my body doesn't like pollen. But it is beautiful in Virginia these days. We're definitely getting some sunshine. We got some hiking in. Today it is an interview episode. So we have Mark Recklow with us. Let's see, I have a book right here if you're watching on YouTube, which if you don't know, you can watch on YouTube. I have the videos up there. They go up the day of the episode. So I have Mark Recklow's 30 Days, Change Your Habits, Change Your Life. Of course, the links will be in the show notes. I also have a couple other of his books, but they're on my Kindle, so you can't see it as well. And I know that this is Zoom, so everything's, turned around, but I will have the link in the show notes. So Mark talks to me about the importance of habits, of building a writing habit, of building a working habit, and actually building these habits in order to then have a habit of rest. Rest is really important. And especially if you guys are working full-time jobs, working part-time jobs, maybe taking care of children or other people who need your attention, and trying to write. If you are working full-time in the writing, most likely you still have, household things to do, but it's still important to rest. So this week I am trying my best to rest. I have sort of left things. I have family in town. And so besides recording this and doing a few things that I had to do for my nonfiction practicums, I have not written or edited all week, which I have to say is very strange. I was thinking yesterday during my second walk with the dog, waiting for family to sort of come back from a certain museum. I was thinking, rest is really good. I was thinking about this podcast and encouraging you guys to rest. It is really good. We have to do it. And yet rest means different things for different people. And I always talk about this. So if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you have heard this from me before. But rest does mean different things to different people. Rest for some people is watching Netflix, sitting on the couch. Rest for other people is putting aside work and training for a marathon. For some people, it's leaving their place of residency. Whatever it is for you, I think it's important to realize that it might be different from other people, and it might even be different than what your spouse or your partner sees rest like. So my husband and I are both very like high energy people. We both love travel. So when we are traveling, I tend to not write, especially like a book. But for me, I need that space to write in my journal or to write some things. I have to admit it doesn't always happen. And then I really have to struggle with just this feeling of I guess I would say like an anxious overwhelm. And it's because I'm not writing. It's just one of those things. I need that space carved out for me. So just be aware as you do take your rest this year, and you Americans especially, take a rest. Like the rest of the world rests and they still get their work done. We don't actually, we aren't actually much more productive just because we don't ever take a rest. In fact, taking a rest can make you more productive, right? So all week I haven't been writing or editing, but I had a brilliant idea for the book that I'm working on. And I really, really believe that that's because I was allowing myself to take a rest, and it just came out of nowhere. So, we want to build these writing habits. We want to write every day and do our marketing every week and all these things. But it's important to build those habits so that when we rest and we go back, we're actually rested and we're not feeling like we're running around, to try to get back into maybe a schedule that wasn't really a habit. So Mark Recklow is going to talk to us about that, how it has benefited his life, about his books. And he's also an indie author, so he'll be talking about that. His 30 Days Change Your Habits, Change Your Life book is an international bestseller with, the cover here says over 180,000 readers, but I'm sure that that's probably old at this point. So he has quite a few nonfiction books, and he talks to us about publishing nonfiction as an indie author. So I won't be very long since this is an interview episode. We won't be teaching anything today, but I am getting my covers together for the Bended duology, Bended Loyalty, Bended Love duology. I'm pretty excited about covers. It's tricky because the genre is tricky as per usual with me, I guess. It's like a family drama, I guess. It's very strange because Amazon now has all these little tiny niche genres underneath the typical big genres. So mine is going to go under general fiction, which is a huge category. It's also which is also like connected to literary fiction, which seems to have shifted these days. I think before everything was fiction. That's all it was. If you look back at different authors, and honestly, even some like Tara French and oh my gosh, now I did Danielle Steele and a couple different authors, they're actually allowed to write whatever genre they want. Sometimes it's a psychological thriller. Sometimes it's more of a like small town, coming of age and middle age sort of book. And they just put it all under literary fiction. And to me, literary fiction always meant like a little harder to read and somebody who's just so much better than everyone else. And maybe that was the wrong idea on my part. But literary fiction seems to have shifted and gone into general fiction, and it seems to be that place holder for the books that don't specifically go into thriller, mystery, fantasy, romance. Like mine has romance in it, but it's not a romance book. And if I tried to market it as a romance book, the romance readers would be mad because they're expecting certain tropes, right? So anyway, it's been a bit of a mess, like trying to find the right cover, and we're still working on it. We still haven't found it. Now, if you want to see the cover before anyone else, you have to get on my newsletter. So I will not be sharing that on Instagram. And actually, we're thinking about putting the podcast onto TikTok. So I will not be sharing the covers there until after the Kickstarter. And I might have like some sort of like, where they're covered up, coming soon things, so you can sort of tell a little bit on those little mock-ups. But I will be focusing on the Kickstarter for this duology. That will be starting in the summer. And if you want to know about the book, if you want to read the sample pages, if you want to be a beta reader, if you want to know what's happening with this book before it launches onto Amazon and Kobo and Barnes & Noble, you need to get onto my newsletter. My newsletter can be found on katcaldwell.com. You can go to Instagram at katcaldwell.author and click the bio link and get in there. There's lots of different places that you can get on my Kat Caldwell newsletter. I don't have a specific one for the podcast. So if you want to know about the Kickstarter, if you want to know about what I'm learning for Kickstarter, why I'm choosing Kickstarter, I will probably talk about it on the podcast a little bit later. But if you want to know now, you need to get on my newsletter. And my newsletter, I've decided this is how I'm framing this. The newsletter is like your Starbucks app and your stars, right? So Starbucks doesn't give you anything for free unless you spend $200. I mean, think about it, guys. No, I think a star is $1 per 2 stars. Okay, so you have to spend $50 to get a free brewed coffee. That's what you have to spend. You have to spend, let's see, 125, I think, to get like a free Frappuccino or whatever. And I think they even changed the star. So let's move on away from math. Here's the thing. My newsletter is like your Starbucks app. If you want closer access to me, if you want anything that I will ever give for free, besides Aurora's Dilemma, which I give for free, it's a novella to my readers newsletter. If you if you want any of the discounts, freebies, news, if you want to be treated like you are my special people, you have to be on the newsletter. You won't feel as special on Instagram. You will not feel as special even if I go to TikTok. I know that you being on my newsletter will actually show you more of me, more of my books. You will get the first look at the covers, the first look at the first 5 chapters. You will be on top of everything. If you want to support me on the Kickstarter, that would be lovely. And you will get all the information at my newsletter. Now, to differentiate, I have 2 newsletters. There is the reader's newsletter, which is where you will get everything about my books and about my writing, and the writer's newsletter, which will also get information about the Kickstarter, and it will get information about the the book covers, but the writer's newsletter has also tips for writing every single week. Now you can get on both. My reader's newsletter only goes out every 2 weeks, so I don't inundate your inbox, but it also has collaborations with authors. And so you get to see what other books are out there, because I cannot, give you all the books that you need, because I'm sure that you are a voracious reader and need a lot of books. So that's why I collaborate with other people. So speaking of collaboration, in a little over 1 month's time, we will be having the Write With Us online writing retreat. We are super excited about it. I will be announcing the teachers that will be teaching us. We're having 7 workshops. So they are going to be jam-packed into 2 days, and it's going to be so, so exciting. I cannot wait to learn from my colleagues in the field. They are each bringing something amazing. Marcy Renee and I are also going to be teaching. So this is going to be a little bit different than the in-person writing retreat. The in-person writing retreat is a lot more intimate, of course, has a lot more writing time. So the online writing retreat is just 2 days. It's workshops to help you learn new things. And then we will have the writing sprint room open, where you can either ask me questions if you have questions, or you can write with other people. So we will be announcing that the beginning of May for you to be able to purchase that and to have access. And anybody who buys the admission ticket will have access to the videos for a year. So even if you can't show up live, you will be able to see all the workshops. So before we get into the interview, be sure to share this podcast if you like it. Let people know about it. Subscribe on the app that you are listening to. I'm pretty sure Apple Podcasts got everything figured out. Thank you to JustCast for figuring that out for me. For a little bit there were like 6 episodes, and now it has all the episodes. So that is good. If you want to read the transcripts, they are all over at pencilsandlipstick.com, all spelled out, for almost every single episode. We are now on YouTube, so if you prefer watching the video and seeing my beautiful new office, because I painted and I put up shelves all by myself. I'm very, very proud of myself. So if you want to see that, go to YouTube. It's Pencils and Lipstick, also spelled out, on YouTube. I know for some reason it's a little bit tricky to find it right now, but it will probably be fixed by the time this goes out. And if you would like to let me know that you are enjoying this podcast and you want to support this podcast monetarily, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/pencils-lipstick. You can also find the link in the show notes. It's pencilsandlipstick.com/support. And that will lead you right to the Buy Me a Coffee page. And that's just, the value for value model. I try to bring you guys value every week with an interview from an expert or some writing advice from me. And then you guys show me that you value this podcast by sharing it with others, letting everybody know, subscribing on the app that you use. And if you want to support me monetarily to keep this podcast going, to pay for my wonderful editor who is leaving and my new editor who's coming and my awesome VA, we would very much appreciate that. And over there at buymeacoffee.com, there are a couple little freebies for you to help you in your writing process. And it also gives you access to ask me questions that you have, which I will answer directly to you over there at buymeacoffee.com. Mark Recklau is a coach, speaker, and author of nonfiction books, including the #1 bestseller, 30 Days, Change Your Habits, Change Your Life, which since April 2015 has been sold and downloaded over 180,000 times and has been translated into several languages, including Spanish, German, Japanese, and Korean. Mark's mission is to empower people to create the life they want and to give them the resources and tools to make it happen. His message is simple. Many people want to change things in their lives, but few are willing to do a simple set of exercises constantly over a period of time. You can plan and create success and happiness in your life by installing habits that support you on the way to your goals. If you want to work with Mark directly or you want to connect with him, you can find him at www.markrecklau.com. That's MarkReklau.com. That link will also be in the show notes. You can also connect with him on Twitter at Mark Recklau, Facebook, or on his website, goodhabitsacademy.com. And all those links will be in the show notes. So now let's get into the interview. Well, today, everyone, I have with me Mark Recklau. Hello, Mark. How are you doing?
Hi, Kat. How are you? I'm doing fine. Thanks.
Good. Me too. It's a bit cloudy, but we're doing well over here. So would you introduce yourselves to us and the listeners? Who are you, Mark?
Mark Recklau, normal guy, writes every now and then, does a lot of Amazon ads, and thanks to that, I can live off my books. So it started all, this year it will be 10 years when I was fired from my job, from my 9-to-5 job, which was horrible in its day, but turned out to be a blessing in disguise. And then I also had like a life coaching training done before, just for my personal development, because I was like hungry for personal development, because my job was always the same thing. So I was fired and I had some savings. I said, okay, I'm going to be a life coach and I'm going to have a lot of clients and it will be fantastic. And in Europe, we have 2 years of jobless welfare. So it's always, I said, okay, 2 years, I can concentrate on this. And I was always convinced that if you do something for 2 years, you can succeed, whatever it is, because 2 years is a long time. If you work every day for 5 to 8 hours. And well, everything turned out differently. So during that time, I said, okay, I'm going to write a book. I want to write a book because a coach with a book, you can
right. You're following that formula, right? Yeah.
From all the coaches without books. And also it was very important for me to write that book. That was my first book, 30 Days, Change Your Habits, Change Your Lives, because I noticed in my coaching training and studying successful people, they're doing all the same things, like getting up early, practicing gratitude. So I found out there are a couple of habits that if you really do them, they will lead you to success, but just nobody does them. Right. So so that was the idea of my book, to motivate people to really give it a shot. That's why my book is written very simple. Yeah. Because I just want to guide people to the end of the chapter where they have to, I give them some exercise to do, which I know it will be fantastic if they do it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And that's how that my first book came around. And then to me, it happened what happens, I think, to all of us. You finish one book and you already have like ideas for the next book. So then I wrote a book about productivity. I was also like, the more you study, you get like guided. For example, first it was all about habits for me, and these exercises that helped me. Later, then I said, wow, if I could be more productive. And it's also something I do. So I practice this stuff and then I write about it.
And then you write about it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was productivity. Then from productivity, I kept on reading books and I said, oh, wow, happiness makes you even more productive with the same tools. If you are happier, you'll be more productive. I said, wow, that's great. So then I wrote a book about happiness, and then like this. And then I said, okay, self-esteem. If you don't have self-esteem, everything is more difficult. All the productivity or habits or whatever, if you don't love yourself, it's more difficult. So I wrote the book, Love Yourself First. And so it went from one thing to another. Now I have 13 books in English and 12 or 14 in Spanish. I don't even know anymore, because I have one co-authored, and I have one with a publisher, but it doesn't sell. So, well, at the end, so 13. I think I have like 40 or 50 products on Amazon, and that's enough to make a living as a writer.
I would say so.
Living. Yeah.
So I picked up your book, 30 Days, Change Your Habits, Change Your Lives, because I think for a while, I would say like 2013, 2014, maybe it was 10 years ago, that personal development started becoming a big deal, right? And you realize just because you've been out of school for a while doesn't mean you know anything. And I wanted to figure out a way to write, and I had, young kids, so got on that bandwagon. But it's interesting because if you don't stay on it, you can quickly fall off again.
Absolutely. And it is also something, you see, I have read self-help books since I was 16, so that's over 30 years now. And it was the typical thing, I think, that happens to most of us. So when I was bad and sad or unlucky in love, I read these self-help books. I got well, and then I stopped reading it. And then so life is always an up and down and a roller coaster. But then when I was 40 and a little bit wiser, I was like, what happens if I keep doing these things that are good for me when I'm doing good?
Right.
And actually it turned out I'm doing even better. That's fantastic, right? So that's the thing, stay on the wagon, keep doing it. And for me, it was a little bit the same thing as I told you before. When I did that coaching training, it was because I was working at my job already for 10 years, and I didn't get any training, nothing. It was a family enterprise, so I learned a lot on the job, but my brain was like out of use, right? Because it was like working the whole day and then go home to the television, and that's it. And on the weekend, binge some series, right? So and then I was hungry or thirsty for knowledge.
Yeah. And
I said, okay, they don't give me training, so I can do the coaching training, and then I will be the one who gives the training, because I will learn a lot. And it's actually like that. So I learned a little bit about everything. And afterwards I did training in companies on productivity, on happiness. And but at the end, everything, like, this is already a little bit business. What always worked best for me was books, funnily, because normally for nonfiction author, or especially in personal development coach, you earn your money with coaching, conferences, and training, and not with books. But with me, it was the other way around. So, it's okay. It's even worse, because now I'm a total comfort zone, because it's going well, so I don't have to do training and coaching, because lying on the sofa or in the bed and doing Amazon ads is a lot more comfortable.
More comfortable. Now you have to find a bucket list item.
So everybody will find their way. That's also something. So to self-help, there's no one size fits all.
True.
You have to figure it out. But there are some exercises that will just be fantastic for you, like gratitude. Or before the interview, we were talking a little bit about, like, I'm doing my power naps. I'm sleeping a lot. It's very important. I'm doing every day. I'm doing my 10,000 steps. Usually in the morning, I feel today I did, like, if I do 10,000 steps in the morning already, the whole day is already fantastic, because this is like my thing I have to do. So I do it first thing in the morning. And the walking does also so many good things for you, like your brain gets like, I get ideas, I clear my mind, zero stress. I'm just, even if I'm in a city, right now I'm in Budapest, Hungary, which is a city. When I was living at the beach, it was even better, the walks, but even in the city it works. So
I try to tell my listeners and the writers I work with to walk. And it's interesting, because last year I was really struggling with a fiction book I was writing, and you get in this rut where you think, if I just work harder on it, it will come. And yet one day I was like, I have to take the dog for a walk, and I'm not going to listen to anything. And it was just like, I know this, and yet
it's what always happens to me. It's so fun, because my girlfriend also, she's the one who works hard in the family, And she looks at me and she says, I can't believe it. I'm working 12-hour days and you're lying the whole day, you're lying around and you're bringing in the money and I have to fight for the money and it just comes. And I say, yeah, maybe that's the secret, right? Because of course it's like 10 years already now. So I went through a lot of experiences. For example, I was there when I thought I have to work, push. But then I also have this spiritual part in me who says, okay, if you push, and nothing happens, maybe you just have to lean back for a day. And funnily, whenever I did that, it happened. So my philosophy, I'm like, okay, I have to push because success is hard work. Nothing comes easy. We know it. It is the way like that. But so I push to show like the universe or God or whoever to say, okay, look, I'm here, I'm pushing.
Right.
But now I lean back and now you've seen that I've been pushing. So now bring the good things to me. And usually it works. So yeah, it's like what happened to you. So I think because you can learn this, just do it more often. Or those who are listening to us who are right in that phase now where they push, and it's just not moving forward, relax, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. And then if you make it a habit, this walk every day, it's incredible. Every day I get new ideas. So now we have the mobile phone. So I write it in my mobile while I'm walking, or I could like tape it, and so it's amazing.
Yes. And I think it's interesting because a lot of this indie industry is driven by the American mindset of, you have to work a lot.
You have to work a lot. Exactly. But you also have to find the pauses. So
you have to find balance, right? Because working a lot doesn't always produce what you think it should.
Balance is the magic word. So because I worked a lot, you can't imagine how much I worked. So it was also like working 5 years without success. But sometimes that's part of the success. You have to go through the desert and then it comes. And it not comes because of luck or something. It's the result of these 5 years of work. And then maybe but when the earlier you find the balance, the better.
Okay.
Yeah. But nothing will be gifted to you probably. So there are no gifts on the way. You have to work hard, but you also have to relax. You have to take your nappies. You have to walk, maybe meditation. Practicing of gratitude is a huge thing that I do. So that's as easy as writing down 3 things I'm grateful for every day. So for me, it's 10 now because the gratitude practice, it rewires your brain practically to see more of the positive, to see more opportunities, to become more optimistic, less prone to depression, less headaches, better sleep. So all the good things, right? That we would, if there were.
And it's so easy.
Yeah, and it's really that. And it's not that I said it's scientifically proven. So there has been lots of studies on the subject, and that's what comes out. So, if there was a magic pill giving us that, we would swallow it. We would now run to the pharmacy. So it's writing down 3 things that you're grateful for every day. And again, it is the habit. If you do it once and then do it for 2 weeks, probably not much will happen. But if you do it every day, I think miracles will really happen. After a month, 2 months, 3 months. I've been doing it now for 7, no more. I started in 2013, 10 years of gratitude practice.
Wow. So you write them down like on paper?
There are gratitude journals, but I have a calendar. I just write it in there. Grateful for.
Right.
And then I write in and then you have to feel the gratitude also. So I feel the gratitude. I nearly get goosebumps because you have to put also the emotion in it. And
you're not just checking the box, like
exactly. And then it's like, what am I grateful for? Right? It's like grateful for my family, for my computer, for this interview. Because once I had a client, she was also very good in the gratitude exercise, and then we did a Skype like with you now. 2 weeks later, I saw her face. I said, when did you stop with the gratitude exercise? And she was like, so like, oh God, he got me, right?
Oh, you could see it.
I could see it. And then she said, well, just after our last call, because it didn't work. And that's a little bit coaching. So in coaching, you don't say, you don't give moral judgment or something. You are a detective. So I was like, what happened? Why? How did it work? Tell me. And then she said, yes, because I said, at least I have a house. At least my kids like me. I said, that's not gratitude. That's scarcity. That
Oh, that's
scarcity is,
interesting.
yes. And when you, this works both ways. So
Okay.
that's the mean thing about our brain and everything. It works both ways. So if I'm grateful for, wow, then these positive feelings come in. But if I'm like coming from a negative place, I can get sadder and sadder, because that's actually also how sadness works. When
Ah,
we are sad,
okay.
we concentrate on everything, when we are lovesick, then we hear the sad songs and
Yes,
all, and
it's
then it
true.
gets worse and worse and
Yes.
worse. So, but the
So
good
you
thing
can
is,
go both ways.
yeah, but the good thing is, if you do the gratitude, or you, for example, a great exercise to raise your self-esteem is in thinking of all the successes you had already, even the small things. Sometimes we let the small things pass by, and the small things are huge, like, okay, I have kids, I'm bringing up kids, I went to college, I was living alone. All these things are awesome things, and when you think about those, you build self-confidence, you build self-esteem,
Right. Oh,
and we
that's
have
an
to use this to
interesting.
our
Okay.
advantage. And
Okay.
yeah, and when we are sad, we usually do it the other way around. I'm nothing, I'm a failure, I failed there,
Yeah.
there. And then you're going in there. And how do you get out of there? Well, when I'm in a situation like that, I know what. So I know, okay, if I want to feel better, I can also now feel bad. Sometimes we just have to feel bad. So if I want to be in self-pity and on the sofa, then I can lie on the sofa and think of everything I did wrong in my life. And I could get very sad because I did a lot of things wrong. But then I said, okay, so that's the option number one. I can be sad on my sofa. Option number two is I can go for a walk, because only the walking already like shoots the hormones and
Right.
or I can go into gratitude, because I know when I start remembering all the things I can be grateful for,
Right.
I also reverse this sadness thing. So it's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like your books are like a circle almost. Like you could almost start wherever, right?
Yeah.
With anyone because they're also interconnected. But I do like how so I have the productivity one, but I haven't gotten it to it yet. But it seems to me like starting with the habits will will improve the productivity already, and then my productivity once I read that
Uh,
one will like
exactly.
add to it, right?
Actually, wherever you go in, it will make you probably happier and more
Right.
productive, because that's the sense of the books, right? When you, as we said, if you would go in for the self-esteem, well, then your self-esteem would probably grow if you do the exercises. So then you will also get more productive, more happy. So
Right.
yeah, it's like you said, it's everything kind of interconnected. And then, for example, the chapter about gratitude is in every one of my books. I can't leave it out. So sometimes there is my readers say, well, there is a chapter about gratitude in all my books. Yes, because it belongs there. It
Right.
belongs in every book, because
And
gratitude is
because we
such a
got to be
huge,
reminded, right?
yes, and
Constantly.
because gratitude is such a huge part. And I even wrote
Yeah.
a book about gratitude, and it's a small book. And friends said to me, don't do it. Your readers will be mad at you. It's only 70 pages, and then it has like a 90-page gratitude journal in the back. And I'm like, I have to write it. I
Yeah.
cannot not write this book, because this is everything I know about gratitude. And I know it will help people. I'm not writing it to have another product on Amazon. No, I'm really writing it because a person who will get this book will probably improve their life. Because another thing is, yeah, I get a lot of emails from people who are in a very bad space and
Mm.
place, and they ask me, Mark, what shall I do? And I say, I can tell you because I don't even know what I would do in your place. It's like, but I know you will get out of there, but I don't know how, because I have not been there. But try starting with gratitude. And many times these people, after 4 to 6 weeks, they write to me and say, well, the situation didn't actually get better, but I feel happier now. And that's mostly the
Okay.
step to recover. Yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I want to talk like because this scarcity mindset that you're talking about, I really see it in the writing world. Because
Yes.
and you have your books for 5 years. It took a lot of work to get those books to work, right? So the Amazon ads, I listened to you on Joanna Penn's
Mhm.
podcast, and you're talking about how many times you had to, refocus them and learn all that. It takes 5 years. And a lot of times we think like 5 years is so long and I want it now, and our scarcity mindset is like, I didn't write enough. I didn't do enough. I don't have enough books, all these, and so
Yeah, mostly also where I can see this money. Many writers don't want
yes,
to
I'm not making
invest.
enough money.
And
Yes.
they don't want to invest. So let me, 2 examples, because it's amazing. Because the first one, I was jobless. So I got 800 euros of jobless money. So I had some savings to live, but still $800 was the jobless
A month?
check.
That's not very much.
So, and then there was a BookBub deal, and it was 500 euros a month.
Wow.
And I had 800 coming in and 500. So with a scarcity mindset, I would say, I can't afford it. I don't know. Of course, I took the BookBub deal because I knew what they can do for a writer's career. Right. I had free downloads. I put my book up. I paid 500 euros to get a free promo. And then I had 40,000 downloads. And from that, when it turned to paid, I was suddenly making $200 a day. And my $500 investment turned into $6,000-7,000 in the following 3 months. That was the start of my writer's career. So that's right. That was it. And then again, so it was going well for a while for me with my one book. But then, of course, I was spending more, and suddenly Amazon took away the organic visibility, and everything was going down. It was going downhill, and I had like half a year of my savings left. This is in 2018. And I said, okay, I have to do something. This can't go. If it goes on like this, I have to go look for a job. So,
and you don't want to do that.
No. So that was when I said, okay, where does my money come from? 80% of my money came from books. Okay. So I said, okay, I will concentrate 80% of my time on books. Okay. The 80-20 rule, right? Right. And what can I do to sell more books? Well, I studied rich authors, successful authors. And I said, okay, what are they doing? Okay, they have many books. They have many books, like 20, 30, 40 books. Right. They always have 1 or 2 books on promotion, because if you have 20 or 30 books, you can put 3 on 99 cents, no problem, right? It won't. Right. If you have 2 books, it will hit you if you put 1 on 99. And if you have 20, and they did the ads. So then I investigated, and Mark Dawson's course once again. So I bought Mark Dawson's course. I think it's $900. I couldn't even pay it at once because I was so poor. I couldn't. But I said, investment. I have to make this investment to move on to become better. That's the abundance. Scarcity mindset would say, okay, now I can't afford it.
I can't afford it. I'll try it on my own. And I think it even goes into a bit of arrogance of like, you don't know what you're doing and it's okay. You're going to actually end up spending more money, right?
Exactly. So I bought it with a payment plan. I couldn't even buy it at once. So I bought it with a payment plan. 3 months after that, the course was paid. So I was already making every month 300 euros more than before with the ads. And that was that, and then the thing is, again, and I only know that because I talked about it, and I have like a PowerPoint slide, and I was actually counting the month. So I started with Amazon ads end of July 2018. I hit $20,000 the first time in December 2019, I think. So I counted it 16 months. Okay. So that was also, then I asked the crowd, I said, who of you in here, and they were all right, I said, would have done the same for 16 months without seeing a result? Because that's another thing. Yeah. 16 months, I just was keeping on. I did. And it was really, it's like it always goes. I said, it's like with the ketchup. When you have a bottle of ketchup, and sometimes nothing comes out, and you go like this, and suddenly everything comes out. And it was exactly like, I was like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,300, 3,400, 3,500, 3,300. And then suddenly, boom, 8, 12, 20 the last 3 months. Wow. Before that. So again, persistence and not giving up. So what I want to say is this scarcity mindset and the things that you said, but also in investing. Yeah. It's bad. And I can see it in writers. Probably also because there are some people, or there's this legend that you can make money with nothing, you just, so like it was like 10 years ago, you write a book, you make a do-it-yourself cover, and then you put it up and you will become a millionaire. And it doesn't work like
It
this
doesn't work
anymore.
like that anymore. No.
And for
Yeah,
me,
the industry changes always. Just
yes.
like you said, Amazon changed something and you have to be willing to, roll with the punches, I guess.
And for me, the two key moments in my writer's career was when I invested money, although I didn't have it actually, or I had it, but like scarcity mindset would have said, no, don't do it. Try it by yourself. And I said, no, I have to. Also, I always think like I have to show it to the universe or to God or whoever, to the destiny. This is my sign. Look, I believe. It's also, I believe in myself, right? I'm paying this money because I believe in myself that this will work, that I'm smart enough to learn ads, so with BookBub, it was easy because of course you do your due diligence. Right. And if you read and listen to authors who had a BookBub featured deal, I don't know. I think 90%, it was a game changer of their career. So I said, okay, I'm going to risk it every now and then. You have to risk also something, but you always have to do your due diligence, because there are also many people who sell something they can't provide you. They're just saying.
Yes.
But okay, it's like you have to find out. But that's something. So the scarcity mindset, as you said, sometimes it goes against us. I can't, or this or that. But we also have it in mind when investing. And we have to believe. We have to believe in us. Nobody believes in me. Yeah. I was writing. So I have the record that every Spanish literary agent rejected my book 30 days. I'm so glad they did, because now I'm rich, and if they would have taken it, I wouldn't be, I think, maybe.
Well, that's really interesting because you're European. You're German?
Yeah, German.
So I lived in Europe for 10 years. I lived in France and in Spain. I mean, the mindset there is a little bit different, right? Like it's there's good and there's bad for every culture, right? But you almost feel like the self-help culture is very American,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I learned, I was nourished by the American mentality also. In Germany, I have no success with my self-help book. And even in Spain, the books are selling, but if you mention self-help, autoayuda, what? And that's exactly the thing, that was what I always admired about the US, and I knew it when I was traveling in the US, and you go to the self-help department in an airport or something, people would look at you and say, oh, wow, he wants to work on himself, You go in Germany or in Spain, they will say, oh, he has problems.
Wrong with him?
He has problems. So,
yes.
Yeah, and
but they're reading them. They're reading, but whether it's on the Kindle so no one can see it or whatever, you have found a market there.
Yeah, I had a discussion on national radio where they were reading, like practically burning me. They were burning me as a witch. No, it was like two psychologists, and then it was me, and they were so mean. So that's why I'm not going on the media anymore, because they wrote me an email, Mark, we want to invite you to a round table to discuss the success of self-help in Spanish literature. I was like, hey, yeah, I'm coming. So I was pretty successful already. And then I came there, it was not a round table. It was like me on one side. And on the other side, I had two psychologists and one guy who was deeply damaged by self-help books. And then it was like, okay, now let's ask Professor Dr. Samson. Yeah, well, I think self-help is the worst. Self-help is horrible. And then the next psychologist, yeah, they are all liars and frauds. And then come the third guy. Oh, I spent so much money and they ruined me. And I was like, and then it was like, so Mark, now what do you say? And I was like, I can't. What shall I say here? I can't say anything anymore. You already, you left it all clear.
Right. Well, I think that goes really into, you have to do the work, right? Like with your book, you always have those exercises. You say, now answer these questions.
And then the thing is, they say, well, self-help, but if you call it personal development, then it's okay.
Then it's okay, right?
But self-help, they just have a problem with self-help. I think, and I'm not a psychologist, but I think and that's why I always also wrote my book about self-esteem, because for me, that's already, if that triggers you, the word self-help, then you should look inside you and say, what's up with my self-esteem? Do I don't feel worthy to be happy or successful? So
Yeah.
and the important thing is exactly, it is self-help. Help yourself. Do the exercises, because let's be honest, probably nobody will help you. Maybe your spouse, if you have one, but who else will help you? When I was jobless, I didn't have many people who helped me. Everybody,
Yeah.
my friends turned away. I had my mother, of course, and that was it.
Yeah. Because I mean, nobody can support you, right? Like in the end, and no one can change your attitude to gratitude. They can't write the book for you.
You
They
have,
can't, yeah.
yes, and they can try to help you, but I can tell you, you depend on yourself, and that's on one hand sad, but on the other hand, it's the most powerful thing you have. If you only depend on yourself, not a problem.
Right.
And you can figure it out. You can work it out. Yeah. So
Yeah, even with little things. I mean, the greatest thing about your book, and I have gone, back and forth with personal development or self-help, because I do think life gets very busy. You get out of your habits, or you think you're fine. It's like that thing where you think you're fine, so you stop taking antibiotics, and so and then you get sick again. So you always, and I was last year thinking like productivity, and in this industry, it's you have to write more books, you have to do this. Well, in the end, people have lives. They either have a full-time job or a family or whatever, and just working on your book every day. And I believe in writing every day, whether it's journaling or just my creative outlet. But telling someone you have to work on your book every day, if you don't know what you're doing with your book, is just going to make you miserable, right?
it's the same thing when they say, I mean, if you're rowing in the wrong direction, don't keep rowing. Or if you're digging a hole, don't keep digging. So there comes the magic word balance again, and there comes everybody has to know it from themselves. I heard all this and I tried it doesn't work. So I'm not writing a lot. I'm not writing every day. Well, I'm writing my gratitude, but in my books, I write 2 books a year, and I write 25,000 word books. So that's in a month. In a month, I get it done. And then I was also, of course, I was in a moment when I said, because I also have this business mindset where I say, okay, what's the better applying of my time? Making more Amazon ads or writing another book? Because if I write, my books don't start well. They usually take like 2 years until they take off, if they take off. But if I do 10 Amazon ads today, I will notice it in a week or two.
Right.
I will earn more money. So that was also that thing. And productivity, is this. It's what we said before. Sometimes less is more. Also, that's also productivity.
Right.
Or if what I always tell my girlfriend, she needs, when we go in nature on a Sunday, her energy on Monday is like, it's like twice as much work done on Monday. So because some people think they have to work on Sunday too, and then suddenly, no, go to nature, do something.
Yes.
Get your juices flowing, be happy, and then you will see that on Monday you will do twice as much, because you recover, and we need recovery also.
Recovering. Yeah, right. I mean, so I know that there's like this back and forth, right, in the creative mind. So you have like these ideas and you want to get them done, and you have goals, right, and you have projects that you want to finish. But ever since I started reading your book, I was like, you know what, and I remembered back when I was doing my stuff, my like productivity and my gratitude and all that, I had a goal of 1,500 words a day because I had really little kids and I was constantly driving around, right? And I got that book finished in like 6 months, which was amazing to me because my first book took years, right? I mean, you're also learning at the same time, right? And you're doing all this stuff. And I remembered that I had heard somebody say, I always stop before I'm finished, because that way the next day I know where to pick up, which I thought, okay, this is kind of saying the same thing. So just getting down, like, all right, between 1,500 to 2,000 words. And then I'm going to be, like you said, happy that I got it done, because you're celebrating the small successes.
Yeah.
And I think that's so key, because instead of it, I mean, it goes all into it, right? Instead of obsessing of, I need to write more. Well, now that I got 2,000 words done, if I write 4,000, it will be even better. You get into
many times it happens like that, just so that the thing is also, you have to be your best friends. You have to forgive yourself for all the times you fail, because I fail every day with my goals. I procrastinate and all this, but it's okay for me. I give myself permission to procrastinate and do, because I know at the end it will come together. It will be fine, and that's it. I don't have to like beat myself up about it. And that's also something very important.
Right.
I'm very for how do you say, forgiving towards myself. And I
Yeah.
also think when this inner, I don't know a good word, like gremlin comes, that beats you up and everything, says you're a failure. Why didn't you do the 1,500 words today? No, just be your friend. Think of yourself like, what would you say to a friend? Because you would never talk to a friend like that. To a
That's
friend,
true.
you would say, well, no problem. You write them tomorrow. Well, talk to you like this too. And then that's
Yeah.
it, and you will be more productive
Yes.
on the long run. And so
Right.
for example, I noticed in myself that I put too many rules for me, like, okay, I have to walk 10,000, then I have to steps, then I have to write 1,000 words, I have to drink 2 liters of water. And at the end, it was like all, it's like the military, I mean, I'm free. This should be fun. What am I doing here? And then I analyzed what's going on, right? So because I was always like, had to do something. I said, that can't be so. Plus the working time, right? Because the walking it was something I have to do, but it didn't count to the working time.
Right.
So then I just said, okay, you know what? 1 hour, I walk 2 hours a day. 1 hour of walking is like 1 hour of work for me, because it does so much good for me. And then I have 1 hour in my schedule for relaxing. I can do whatever I want in that hour. So, and that counts also as working hour for me, because I try to work like 6 to 8 hours.
Right.
But like money counting is also an hour of work, or sales counting. So
Yes.
So now it's all more relaxed and it's fun again. And I'm still getting things done.
And and you see your productivity, right? Because that goes into whoever wrote the 4-hour workday or something. It really goes into how much time we waste on different things or beating ourselves up, and just, but what do you think about multitasking?
No.
No? Okay.
It's a lie. It doesn't work. So there are some incredible studies. Multitasking. Let's see if I can get it. So first of all, also multitasking is a lie. That I give it right away. But then there's, there was one study. So when you have your email open while you're trying to do focused work,
right,
it takes away, I think, 10 points of your IQ. 10.
Oh my
so
God.
That's the study. Yes. So imagine, So I said, okay, I can't afford it. I can't afford to have even 10 less, right? So no, imagine, and then they also said, if you smoke a joint, it only takes 5 points away. So imagine.
So it's even worse.
So the effect of having your email open, that's multitasking, of having your email open while trying to do focused work, makes you lose temporarily, thank God, only 10 IQ points.
Right.
It's worse than smoking a joint. And it's the same like if you are 48 hours without sleep. Then you understand. So then you say, I don't know, last time I was 48 hours without sleep, it was like horrible. And that's the state of your brain when you work with the emails open. So I think that's a pretty stunning statement. And it's a study from the University of London, if somebody wants to Google it.
Yes.
So I don't know if you use 6. I don't know if you use 6 or 10 points, but I think it's 10. I wrote it. It's in the book Destination Happiness. I wrote it so many years ago, but that was always something that I brought to enterprises, to companies, so that they get aware, because in companies it's wanted that you do multitasking. Although it's like, if you do one thing after another, like 1 hour for emails, 1 hour for that, 1 hour for phone calls, you will get a lot more done than with all this stuff happening, because you're not multitasking. You're doing one thing, another thing, and the time to refocus. So let's say you're writing an email, then the phone rings, okay? You talk 5 minutes on the phone, and then you go back to the email. You didn't only lose 5 minutes on the phone. You're losing another 5 to 15 minutes that it costs you to refocus on the task that you were doing. So, and that's how, I don't know how it is today, but for the longest time, office work was done like that. And of course, nobody gets nothing done in an environment like that. So we as writers, we can build our walls or make our rules. So for example, when I'm really in a high productivity mode, when I'm writing a new book or something, or I have to get things done, I turn off my mobile. I call my girlfriend. I look, now the next 3 hours, I'm going to airplane mode, and I'm gone. And then in 3 hours, and then in those 3 hours, I get more work done than in 6 or 7 normal hours. So that's also a huge secret to productivity.
Yeah, I think it's a really modern thing, right? To have to be available all the time to everybody, and this like hyperactivity of just like you can't ever settle or focus. And especially if you're writing, that's a whole different, like writing a book, whether it's nonfiction or fiction, that's a creative side of the brain that if you get taken out of that, it takes so much longer. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it where you might be writing and then you come back and you feel like, no, what was wrong with me that day?
No,
You know,
it doesn't happen. No, it doesn't happen because when I'm writing,
because you're focused.
I know usually. So the thing is, and it's also okay to fall out of habits. So for example, during a long time, I had like super habits. I was like, it was all super, but then if it goes too well, sometimes you fall back in old bad habits. But because I was so streamlined and everything was going so well that I said, okay, I can watch television from 3 to 7, and suddenly you create the bad habit of watching television again, although you know it doesn't do a lot good for you. But it's, so that's what I wanted to say. It's okay. We have to forgive us that we don't have to be perfect. But I tell you, when I decide to go in productivity mode, so I say, okay, let's write a book. Then I start, and then what I do is get up probably at 6 o'clock in the morning, write from 6 to 8 or 2,000 words, and then that's done. And then happens what you said. Sometimes it's 3,000 words. Sometimes I'm 4 hours, and I just have to do this 20, 30 times in a row, and I have a book, because I write short books, of course. Yeah. But that's 1 month of the year. So the rest of the year, I don't have to be like always in high productivity mode, you know?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I like the book, the 30 days book, Change Your Habits, Change Your Lives, because it's very small. Because a lot of times when we're trying to change something about ourselves, we have to go through that time of discomfort, right? Like this, like you're just kind of this nervous energy of discomfort. And if you put too many things on yourself, I think you even have a chapter about it, like just choose 3 things, you know? Because you could easily fall into, I can't do this, or I am so bad.
It goes even further. You have noticed that every chapter of the book has 1 page, maximum 1.5 pages.
Yeah, it's really short. It's really nice.
And that comes because I read so many self-help books, and it's incredible because everything is underlined. And then when it says do the exercise, it's all blank. I never did the exercises. So I put this into my book. And then also, many times I read books and the chapter was so long, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then after 10 pages, you come to the end of the chapter and say, now write down 3 goals. They're like, no, I can't anymore. I'm totally exhausted from reading the 15 pages. So that's why I also wanted to keep my book, the chapters very, very simple, so that my readers have the time and also the energy to do the exercises, because it's definitely the most important thing are the exercises. You can read and you might feel good for a while, but if you do the exercises, that is when change will happen in your life. And yeah, that I know it because I read for 25 years and didn't do the exercises.
I've done that too.
And then when I started, imagine with 40 jobless, I started doing the exercise. Now I'm 49 and I'm not financially free yet because I depend too much on Amazon, but I'm much better than I ever thought I'm gonna be, you know.
You seem like a very happy man, Mark. I mean,
yeah, happy and no financial worries, which was always my biggest worry most of the time.
Probably anybody's, right? Money does rule our world. So
so and now it's like I could never imagine where I'm gonna come, and that's another thing. Because we talk a lot about visualization and this and that, and then some people just can't visualize. I can also not visualize. But on the other hand, I say, hey, 9 years ago, I could never, I didn't have enough fantasy to believe that I sit in an apartment in Hungary, paying not a lot of taxes, making money with my book. So sometimes it doesn't matter. So what matters is what you do every day, step by step. If you every day do what needs to be done, the difficult thing will be to find out what is the things that have to be done. You will be fine in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, so actually, I like that, because visualizing sometimes, like, what should I visualize? Because I don't actually want to be on the beach doing nothing all day. I'm a hyperactive person. That won't make me happy. And in the moment, sometimes you're like, I don't even know what will make me happy. Like, so let's just start at little things like writing down
Exactly.
gratitude and taking a deep breath.
If you, I'm taking now a deep breath too. So if you really, so my philosophy is, if you every day, so if you have the difficult thing will be to find out what are the 3 most important tasks every day. That will be the
Okay.
most difficult. But if every day you do the 3 most important tasks of the day, in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, you will automatically be in a good place.
Yes. Yes.
There's no other. There's no other way. And I like this because, today is everything we have, actually.
Right.
And now when I look back at the end, it was everything was always happened today. You know, I 9 years ago, I didn't say I want 50 books on Amazon or 40 and make that and that and 6 figures. No, I wanted to get 1,000 words done. I wanted to get my first book done. I wanted to have a little bit more money so that I'm not like this all the time, right? And then every day I did my stuff, and 5 years, some things got a lot different. So I'm not a coach. I'm not giving the multi 5 figures conferences, but hey, sometimes life gives you these things in another way, and it's okay.
Right.
So
you might find that you don't want to, right? Like if you want to live in Budapest, you can't maybe do all the conferences in the US.
2 years ago, I didn't know. 1.5 years ago, I couldn't even imagine to live in Budapest. It was also like just
I'm a little jealous.
Things happening, things happening. So this is also, or with goals. So I'm setting goals. I have set goals for 10 years, and I actually reached 80%, although they were so far out of line you couldn't even believe it. But 10 years is a long time, And then it's also so, one goal was I want a Porsche, but in these 10 years I said, no, I don't need a Porsche because I'm living in the city center. If I wanted one, I wouldn't buy it. I would lease it, because that's a lot.
Because you've learned what you would do.
Yeah, exactly. You learn on the way. So, but and these things, but on the other hand, also so other goals were like, one day I want to earn what I earned in a year in my 9-to-5 job in one day. And I thought maybe it's a conference, or maybe it's a great day on Amazon. At the end, it was a check for my Japanese royalties. So,
nice.
When it happens, you don't care where it comes from.
Right.
You have the goal, And then the great thing was I had this goal for 3 years. So it also wasn't. It's not I set the goal and then it will happen within a year.
Right.
I set the goal and then it will happen sooner or later. I don't know how. I don't know from where it comes, but it will come. And I'm keeping working. Yeah.
Yeah, but you wrote it down so you didn't forget, so that when it came, you get to celebrate it, right?
Exactly.
So that's
big time.
Amazing.
I was.
Yeah. I love that, because I do think I wanted to have you on because I see this this phenomenon happening in the writer world, and I do think that as your 13 books set up for people, it really has a lot more to do with habits and productivity and loving yourself and understanding how you work and all those things.
Mindset, yes, self-knowledge, yes.
Right. And you said 5 years pass, 10 years pass, but the thing is, those years will pass. Like they will, whether we.
And if you do nothing, exactly. What's the worst that you? I also always think, what's the worst that can happen?
Well, be in the same spot.
Exactly. So you might as well try, and you will fall. But I think everybody, you and everybody who listens to us, when we look back 20 years in our life, the things that seemed catastrophes at the end probably were even great things that they happened to us. So as I say, everything happens for a reason, right? Or sometimes you make it. Maybe sometimes you make it. You change your perspective of something that happened 10, 15 years ago. I was fired. It was not nice in the moment when I was
sure
fired.
It wasn't.
But now I just want to go to give my boss a hug, because I said, without you, it wouldn't have been possible,
Right.
Yeah,
your perspective changes. So, well, thank you so much, Mark, for coming on, because I really think that this is important to anybody, but even writers to realize, you know, little things will help them become more productive, be happier, because what's the point of getting 10 books out there if you're miserable and you hate your life and you hate your books? Like
Exactly.
that's not good either, right? So I will have the link in the show notes to your books, to your website, but thank you so much for coming on and talking to
It
us.
was a super pleasure. I hope we gave some value to the people, and
Yes.
it's also okay to have bad days. Everybody has them. Even
Yes.
I have them sometimes. Just then I don't go to podcasts on my bad days. I dig in somewhere, and then 2 days later I rise again. So it's totally
Yes.
normal. I studied happiness a lot, and it doesn't mean that you have to be happy all the time.
All the time, right?
It's these ups and downs, and happier people just snap out quicker from the lows.
Okay. I like that definition.
That's
Yeah.
everything. And you can do that. Tools of that are, for example, gratitude or walking around the block. So, and it's even sometimes it sounds like it can't be that easy. You know, it's like, no, it can't be that easy. Yes, it is.
Yes.
And the more, even maybe not in the beginning, and also don't expect miracles after one. But if
Right.
you're doing it 30 or 50 or 60 times, I'm pretty sure that gratitude will work, the walks will work, and you will really enjoy it, and you will become more productive. And as I said, be your best friend. The world is tough enough out there.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thanks.